House Republicans venting their anger to the leader of the second largest teachers union in the country on Capitol Hill this week. Republicans allege that the union and others worked with the CDC to keep schools closed longer than necessary amid the COVID pandemic.
But did AFT ever provide suggested revisions to the CDC's operational strategy regarding school closures or reopenings? Did you suggest revisions to their operational strategy?
What we suggested, sir, was ideas.
I'm a member of Congress that sits on two committees that deal with this, the CDC. I don't have a direct number to Director Walensky. Do you?
I do not talk to representatives of the government.
Do you have a direct number to Director Walensky?
Do I have Director Walensky's direct number?
Yes.
Yes, I have Director Walensky's direct number.
Well, hopefully she'll give it to me too.
So I've been to some weird hearings in this Congress, Mr. Chairman, but this one might be the weirdest because it's convened in order to accuse a federal agency of the crime of consulting with American citizens.
Randi Weingarten is the president of the American Federation of Teachers, and she joins me now. Randi, great to have you here. Basically, it sounds like what they were saying was that you had undue influence on the CDC to make policy, I guess, about when schools would reopen. What's your response to that?
So, you know, we represent teachers and nurses. We're actually the fastest growing nurse union these days. And with the Biden administration coming in, they wanted to reopen schools more fulsomely. We wanted to reopen schools more fulsomely. And we said during the transition, you need to have clear scientific-based guidance that people can understand. I mean, most of us are not scientists. So, and what we were getting for the months beforehand was unclear and unhelpful. So you needed the resources for things like ventilation, masks, the things that in a respiratory disease that's not seen, you could have, that would help people, testing, and you needed clear guidance.
Scott?
Yeah, we don't know each other, but speaking on behalf of millions of American parents, I have 4 at home. I had to teach them at home. My wife had to teach them at home. I am stunned at what you have said this week about your claiming to have wanted to reopen schools. I think you'll find that most parents believe you were the tip of the spear of school closures. There are numerous statements you made over the summer of 20, scaring people to death about the possibility of opening schools. And I hear no remorse whatsoever about the generational damage that's been done to these kids. I have 2 kids with learning differences. Do you know how hard it is for them to learn at home and not in a classroom that was designed for them? And for you to sit in front of Congress and the American people and say, oh, I wanted to open them the whole time. I am shocked. I'm stunned. I'm stunned. And there are millions of parents who feel the exact same way.
Okay, go ahead, Randi.
So I don't know you, sir, and you don't know me, but I have worked for the last 20 or 30 years helping kids every single day. I've been a school teacher. I've been a union leader. I knew and understood the importance of reopening schools and the importance of making sure that people were safe. And poll after poll that we did of parents, and I spent a lot of time with parents, said that they basically understood and supported that we needed to do both. I'm really sorry about your kids.
You think parents wanted to keep the kids?
Nobody wanted
you think
to.
Parents
Nobody wanted to
supported
keep
you in
kids at
keeping
home.
Why did we fail? How did Europe and the rest of the civilized world get this right and we failed?
They had
How did that happen?
The schools in Europe that opened sooner than we did, and most of them did, had the mitigating strategies that we were just talking about. And it wasn't negotiable. It wasn't, oh, well, it's inconvenient to have 6 feet or it's inconvenient to have masks. They had these things. And the other thing they did, and I don't know if it was right or wrong, the other thing they did is they prioritized schools over commerce. They prioritized schools over bars and restaurants and things like that. They did.
Let me jump in, because I respect what Scott's saying. Obviously, I come at it from a slightly different perspective, having 3 children also in public school in New York, just outside of New York City. And we sort of dealt with the cards that we were handed. What I want to ask you, Randy, is when you look back, and obviously we all know about hindsight, as a parent on the outside looking in, my sense of the situation was always, this is because the teachers and the adults around are more afraid of this virus than the kids, because as we found out fairly quickly, we knew that children weren't going to be that affected by this particular disease. And so from my perspective, it seemed like this was coming from the teachers and the leadership on their side saying, hey, this isn't safe for us. It's not safe for our family members, for the community. Is that what drove, you think, the decision to play it extra safe when it came to allowing the kids to go back in the classroom?
Well, I think the problem is that teachers actually teach kids. So if it wasn't, I mean, look at what happened in Omicron. When we were able, because of testing, we were able to actually keep schools open. Some schools shut when there were too many teachers absent, but we were able to keep schools open because we understood and used testing as a way to do that. So I think what happened was that people were fearful, you're absolutely right, but even though, thank God, kids didn't get as sick as adults, adults were getting sick and adults were dying. And so we were trying to figure out, and I'm not saying that, there were people all across America who were taking different positions than, I was at the AFT, including some of my members, and you saw some of those things. But we were trying to figure out what were the mitigating strategies that were needed to keep schools open. And that's what, and that's what we tried to do from April 2020. And what I produced, I went and I testified in Congress yesterday voluntarily, and I produced much documentation proving all the things that we tried to say. Now, that's why I keep on using the Cuomo administration, because frankly, Governor Hogan, Governor Cuomo, Rockefeller Foundation, lots of governors, they were working in a really different way than the Trump administration was. And the Trump administration did a great job in terms of vaccines, but in terms of giving people the kind of guidance to say, to do what Europe did, we didn't get it. And that's why in the investigative book that just came out yesterday, what they said was, if we had gotten that guidance, that stockpile of guidance, we would have been able to open up earlier, and we just didn't get it.
Randy, thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
Thank you for answering all of our questions. We really appreciate you being here. This subject is not easy for everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, now, why are we not doing everything we need to do now?
Yes, that's a great
And
point.
that's what, I'd like to have seen one question from the Republicans that questioned me yesterday for 3 hours about what we need to do now.
That's a great point. And yes, we do need to get ahead of this next one and not just be reactive. Thank you very much, guys.